Wake up, sundown, creatures and gods around. Beware, prepare, it's dangerous, they'll linger in the dark. Climb from below, temples and tombs will fall down. Explore the realms, what is meant to be, take it all. Obey, hear the voice of God, and the best come to your sacred land. Make way to the afterlife. What was once your palace, now your grave. Awaken your soul, dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies across the vast wild desert. Move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and shove it off your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny in the magic and the omen of the mind.
Hey, to have peace, yes, Lord, there must be strife. I already see the end of life. I accepted death, my eyes are open. I read and told them there's a light. Eternal life awaits me, yes. No one can dare deny me. I'll gladly give my life. All my people in my kingdom point the way. That's a small price to pay. To God to pray every day. To the promised land, I understand the higher the highest height and the lower the lowest depths. I'm not afraid of my last breath. Life is nothing but a test. May the gods only know what's next.
Alarms, hear the voice of God, and the best come to your sacred land. Make way to the afterlife. What was once your palace, now your grave. Awaken your soul, dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies across the vast wild desert. Move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and shove it off your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny in the magic and the omen of the mind.
My eyes are open, eternal morning. The crown is golden, I have been chosen. My eyes are open, eternal morning. The crown is golden, I have been chosen.
Awaken your soul, dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies across the vast wild desert. Move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and shove it off your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny in the magic and the omen of the mind. Wake up, sundown, creatures and gods around. Beware, prepare, it's dangerous, they'll linger in the dark. Climb from below, temples and tombs will fall down. Explore the realms, what is meant to be, take it all. Obey, hear the voice of God, and the best come to your sacred land. Make way to the afterlife. What was once your palace, now your grave. Awaken your soul, dive and devour the Red Sea. Take control and drown the enemies across the vast wild desert. Move your feet along to the rhythm of the sand. Rise and shove it off your spear. Aim your bow, make them bow down in fear. Chaos and new beginnings. Find your destiny in the magic and the omen of the mind.
Hey, to have peace, yes, Lord, there must be strife. I already see the end of life. I accepted death, my eyes are open. I read and told them there's a light. Eternal life awaits me, yes. No one can dare deny me. I'll gladly give my life. All my people in my kingdom point the way. That's a small price to pay. To God to pray every day. To the promised land, I understand the higher the highest height and the lower the lowest depths. I'm not afraid of my last breath. Life is nothing but a test. May the gods only know what's next.
Alarms, hear the voice of God, and the best come to your sacred
a lot of these players maxing commanders. Sorry, a lot of these players maxing their commanders here, going into this matchup, as we see them walking up towards this desert altar. This desert altar is going to be these desert altar fights are going to be really interesting to see what exactly happens. Ao77 having this double C, interesting. You usually want to see an infantry march or infantry rally because infantry has the slowest march speed. So if you see a cavalry march, you kind of assume that they're going to go for the obelisk capture here. So very interesting stuff indeed from Ao77. Maybe they just want to have, because it is very fast, so maybe just have that pressure advantage here. As we see a Guan rally here as well. So SJ32 are using, if you see a Guan rally, it means that it's a transport rally. Guan isn't really a primary commander to take a structure here. So it looks like the desert altar for both sides will be protected with this Guan rally, probably canceling around this area so that they can have these infantry marches to defend their own desert altar. In this case, SJ32 actually pushing up to the Ao77 desert altar already. So it does look like they do have the first hit here. In terms of the murder ball composition, let's see. I think it's pretty even in terms of the amount of people. It looks like this march is here to run a distraction maybe, or maybe they were AFK. It does look like they are running a bit of a distraction here. SJ32 marches are walking away well, it looks like another SJ32 march is actually doing the exact same thing here. So you definitely do not want to be out of place here. You want to make sure your murder ball is nice and tight, because if you get engaged on, you want to make sure every single march here can attack at the same time. Desert altar is starting to tick down here. 70 seconds left on the desert altar, as we see so the rally was for the obelisk, but yeah, that did not work for Ao77. It looks like Ao77 not pressuring the desert altar, so pressure advantage overall to SJ32 here, where they are actually surrounding this desert altar. Let's see in terms of the murder ball composition who is winning in terms of numbers. It looks like SJ32 has a little bit of a numbers advantage, although we do see some sad faces coming from SJ32. You definitely don't want to see the AFK marches here. You want to make sure all of your marches are coming in here. But at the same time, at Ao77, you want to make sure these marches are in the murder ball. This Hua Qibing and these three marches are doing their job, trying to distract marches in the back here. Because you want the AoE to be in the center of the murder ball, but it looks like it won't matter. Ao77 looks like they did win this is an initial brawl in front of their desert altar, but we'll have to see if SJ32, look at them, they're starting to circle around this desert altar. Will they be able to go into this desert altar, or will it be look at that, SJ32 able to get into the desert altar, at least delay the first cap of the desert altar. Delaying the points for Ao77 is pretty big here. So SJ32 with the pressure advantage, it looks like they are starting to swarm this down. Ao77 is XY garrison, definitely not ideal, very squishy, very swarmable. But it does look like Ao77 has a bit of a split focus. Some of them are fighting these open field marches, some of them are swarming down the structure, and SJ32 is doing a great job topping off this structure here. It's been around this middle point this whole time, as we finally see the structure starting to go down here. Oh, look at that chunk, there you go. But they were able to delay it for about 30 seconds, about a minute. And what that allows them to do is it allows them to, if they want to, refresh and kind of contest this first cap, or if they want to delay this first cap, or if they want to kind of use that towards this mid presence. As we talk about mid, wow, a very early rotation from Ao77, 6 minutes in. Super interesting that they are going this heavy on the arc game. As we talk about the structures though, Ao77 is winning in the points game, and as I was talking about earlier, outposts, all three captured by Ao77. So their outpost team is putting in some work, just capturing these outposts, allowing them to deny 90 points per minute, which, you know, is pretty substantial. overall for throughout the course of the game here. Shrine of Life actually taken by Ao77, as we also see them posturing outside of this Desert Altar. This Desert Altar looks, well, it actually looks like the rally is coming in now. It is a Tariq Pakal. So Tariq Pakal going into this Desert Altar with Ao77 having the open field here. This Desert Altar is in trouble. This Desert Altar is in trouble. And it has not gotten the first points yet. So first points are still up for grabs for this SJ32 Desert Altar. 40 seconds left until first points are captured. But it looks like they don't have any people here. It looks like they don't have any marches around here. And without any marches, there's no one to reinforce. There's no one. So yeah, this Desert Altar is going to go down. 28 seconds, but it is already approaching the Reds, as we see that Jan holding for dear life, but it looks like it's all for naught. SJ32, is this march gonna, started walking back. Oh no, there you go. Desert Altar down for SJ32, and Ao77 looking very, very strong here, as we see them take the Desert Altar, and in turn kind of give SJ32 an ultimatum here. It's like, do we go mid? SJ32, do we go mid? Or do we contest this Desert Altar so that we can potentially recap it so that we can get the first points? Because Desert Altars give a lot of points here. 750 for first occupation is huge. That's a huge lead that you don't want to give up. And as we say that, Sky Altar was actually taken by Ao77 as well. So Ao77 rotated mid first. They got all 4 altars. It's looking super dire early on here for SJ32. We'll have to see if they could stabilize here. As we also see Ao77 cutting off the mid rotation from the bottom lane. They have so many people here. I'm curious to see if they'll continue to cut off these marches as they stream in one by one so that they can't murder ball up. I guess that is one of the benefits here, but it does look like SJ32 has the call to pincer into these Ao77 marches coming from the south here. So it does look like SJ32 will get some free chip damage here. Ao77, will they fight this? It looks like there's a split call. Some people are fighting, some people are walking away. This is actually free damage for SJ32, although they have to win this mid fight right now because these first points over here, at least for this Desert Altar, I don't know about this Sky Altar if they were able to get first points here. Losing these structures is super, super tough because now that they lost the structures, Ao77, they have the pressure advantage here. They have the onus. They have they can create and kind of pick and choose where they want to fight because it's SJ32 that has to answer to them. What is this rally, by the way? We got a mixed Nevsky Joan rally. Okay. Dust up used by SJ32. I'm not gonna comment on that mixed Nevsky Joan rally. I don't really know why it's mixed. Maybe they ran out of cavalry, but it's so early on into the match. We see Total Vision used by Ao77. So both teams using their skills now. It looks like it's an all-out brawl in this mid-fight. Honestly, I would say Ao77's positioning is a bit better here. This murder ball clump by SJ32 allowing for them to be AoE'd a lot more easier compared to the spread out composition that Ao77 has in their murder ball over here. But it does look like SJ32 has the overall numbers advantage for this mid fight. So it does look like they will win this mid fight as there is 1 minute 25 seconds left for this arc to spawn. Ao77 March is still starting to stream in here as we see this mid fight continuing to progress. SJ32, do they have some reinforcement? They do have some reinforcements coming in from the home base, although they are AFK, and that's one of the things for mid. If you're in OL right now, you do not want to target a march. You want to target the ground because if the march dies or gets out of vision, your marches will stop walking, and you want to make sure your marches get there ASAP. As I start saying, Ao77 marches are starting to die off. Look at how many sad faces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are so many sad faces from Ao77 here, and SJ32 is engulfing this Temple of Osiris. So it does look like they will be able to at least get control of this mid, get control of this arc, and we'll have to see if they'll instantly cap it or if they're going to be playing for mid throughout the game here, as we have 20 seconds left on this arc. I probably would not rotate mid anymore as Ao77. I would honestly try to hold on to this desert altar that they have, this sky altar that they have going on. Try to recapture this desert altar. They seem to have their SJ32's number in the structure game. So, but it does look like they're trying. They have some people walking in here. As they try to walk around, maybe try to catch them unawares and try to at least contest this Arc of Osiris so they're going to capture it for free. So it does look like they are moving down here, at least testing down here, as we see SJ32 starting to pull it out. We have double C with Belisarius, and it does look like they're walking towards this middle area. Will they go for an outpost capture? It looks like they're walking towards their outpost, because if they're walking towards their side lanes or their obelisk, they'd be starting to walk closer to start hugging the wall here. As we see, they have Ao77 has total vision of this area. Maybe we'll have a surprise strike. We'll have master strategies here from Ao77. But yeah, it looks like this mid fight is all for naught. As I said, I would probably stop rotating once you lost that mid fight and start rotating towards these structures, because you are still leading. They are still leading by about 2.3k points, 2.4k points, which is a pretty big lead for this early on in the game. 43 minutes in, 2.4k points. But this arc will be able to kind of stabilize SJ32 a little bit here. We'll see if they'll be able to stabilize their structure game. This is the biggest thing for them. They got to stabilize their altars specifically. Make sure that they could continuously defend these altars, because these altars will give you those passive point gain that you need. And if your opponents own your altars, then you are not gaining points, and they will start gaining this kind of big lead that Ao77 has now. But it did look like SJ opted into this mid game, so they wanted to get this arc out of the way and kind of force 3 potential arcs for this game. Because with this fast capture, what this means is that there is potential for a 3rd arc to spawn. So there will be a lot of mid fights here. It's not going to be only structures all the time here, as we see Ao77 having some marches, starting to swarm down this SJ32 desert altar, but it does look like it will be repelled here. These SJ32 marches probably wanted to sad face themselves onto the swarm here, but it looks like they weren't able to, because sad facing, if you don't know, you might see some teams, especially high level teams, start swarming some cities or put out their low marches, because if you see sad faces walk super fast, so it allows you to refresh way faster here. As we see, wow, birdie? Is this a birdie sighting? Bertrand with Nevsky on the Shrine of Life. Pretty interesting. I don't know if the Guan Yu had to come here to swarm. As you know, I think they had the structure under control, but we'll have to see in the future. As we see this Shrine of War actually being swarmed down by SJ32 marches. It looks like they came from mid, so they might have just wanted to reset here, as the arc was captured about a minute ago. So there will be another arc in about 7 minutes, as SJ32 actually have the point per minute lead, and they have the point lead right now. So they were able to stabilize their structures. They are now postured in a really good spot, and that's the thing. One of the things that you can do as a team is, let's just go mid. Let's just hold our own structures. Let's play defensive for the structure game and win out mid. And it looks like that's what SJ32 is doing here. Not too many offensive marches here, not too many rallies set, as we see the rallies here. There are some rallies on the desert altar, but it's not supported. The open field is supporting their Shrine of War, so they're playing super defensive here. And I think if they win the mid fight, it's going to go towards their favor. If they win these mid fights, this is exactly what you want to do. But you have to make sure you win these mid fights. They won the first one, so they're feeling pretty confident here. Yeah, there's a rally, but it's unsupported, so it's just kind of like keeping them honest type of rallies where you send out the rally, make sure that they know that, you know, you can rally something and that you are willing to attack, but you're not going to send out your whole open field around it because you want to hold your structures. That's the biggest priority for them. So it's going to be pretty hard for Ao77 here to actually take some of these structures because of the amount of open field presence that SJ32 is committing around it. It honestly just looks like, as I think they're looking for provisioners here, or they're trying to sneak up on the Shrine of War. And that's the interesting thing about the fog as we go into the vision range for a set. They actually can't see these marches. So that's pretty funny. There's going to be 4 marches from SJ32 just popping out of nowhere for the Shrine of Life here. So maybe that's the secret play that they're looking for. It's actually the rally lead as well. So they can time the rally, as the Desert Altar was actually taken by Ao77, which is a big win, although SJ32 was able to recap it right away. But it does delay the amount of points that you gain. So 150 points off the board for at least 2 minutes for SJ32, allowing for Ao77 to start catching up in this point lead. And as you can see, look at the points. They're actually super, super close. Less than 300 points separating these two teams. So this, whatever structure you can get to flip is essential, is crucial to allow yourself to, you know, start coming back here. And it looks like they're going to recapture this again. This is insane stuff from Ao77. Big blunder by SJ32. They had full health marches around this structure. Why don't you march swap? That's what you need to do in this situation, because you need to hold these structures, especially with a game this close. The point lead is now less than 200, as we see Ao77 also capturing these outposts. Let's go update ourselves with this Shrine of Life. I mean, Ao77 does look like they do have enough marches to hold. SJ32 finally getting control of the Desert Altar, but that's 300 points down the drain. 400, it's like 600 points down the drain, because they were delayed for like 4 minutes. So that's 400 points down the drain from not capturing your Desert Altar, when they could have march swapped the second time, at least, to only make it 2 minutes. So it looks like this game is going to be an Ao77 side as the arc spawns. And look at this, Ao77 actually rotating earlier than SJ32. They both have pretty decent positioning here, though. Both of them, Ao77 taking the north side, SJ32 taking the south. This arc fight is going to be so important for both teams. SJ32, their whole game plan was to play defensive for these mid fights. Ao77, they want to make sure that they stall out this arc as much as possible, because they're slowly bleeding points. SJ32 is slowly bleeding a point lead here. So it does look like, you know, Ao77 actually defending this Sky Altar here. So that's a couple marches that will not be in the mid fight. Yeah, look at that, SJ32 just streaming everybody in here. All hands on deck. We need this mid fight. We need this Arc of Osiris here. And it looks like Ao77 understands that, and they're like, okay, we got to send everyone mid too. So only 2 structures being contested. This Shrine of War looks like it'll be fine. Shrine of Life is not even being contested anymore. Not too sure why it is still blinking. And this Sky Altar rally just got swarmed down, so Ao77 was able to defend that. So it is all on this mid fight. This is where the action is. And I was talking about points bleeding. SJ32 had a 300 point lead a couple minutes ago. Now they are down points, down about 300 points. So they are actually, yeah, they are actually banking everything onto this mid fight. And the difference is actually this outpost. Funny enough, the difference between their points per minute is that one outpost. So outposts do matter in Arc of Osiris, as we start to see some poking going on here. Okay, there's just a little bit of a glitch. Ao77 taking a little bit of an offensive stance here, going more towards SJ32's side. Let's see how SJ32 reacts here, as we see the Desert Altar. These are just single rallies, unsupported, just keeping the structures honest. Actually, Sky Altar is being swarmed down, but I think they should be fine. as we start to see, oh, look at the outpost captures. Oh, that is huge. That is huge. Because it's literally such a close game here where any amount of points matters. So these outposts just being captured is actually what allows Ao77 to have this small lead that they have here. But this mid fight will dictate who has the overall lead here. So let's see what happens. Arc about to spawn in 45 seconds. The calm before the storm. Both teams staring at each other. And there we go. We got the call to start fighting from Ao77. Ao77 starting the offensive approach here. SJ32, you want to make sure these marches are awake. Starts going towards this mid fight. There you go. SJ32 marches starting to trickle in. As we see Heaven's Grace used by, I think that's Ao77. Skills used by both teams. Arc is spawning in 10 seconds here. As we see, a lot of sad faces by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sad faces from SJ32. It's looking pretty bad here for SJ32. They are fighting. The fight is starting to slip away from the Arc here. Let's see if there's any Arc carriers. We got a Genghis Khan Arc carrier. Is that a Genghis Khan Arc carrier? 3, 2, 1. It looks like Ao77 has the crucial first tap. Huge for them. Although it was dropped, it makes the Arc closer to their side, making it the fight have to shift over closer to their side, meaning that their reinforcements could get there faster, meaning that SJ32 has to start walking over. And if you don't know, in Rise of Kingdoms, if you're walking, you're not actually filling up your skill bar. So this really allows Ao77 to get some free hits in as the marches start trickling in. Ao77 again with the cap here. Wow, they are actually doing really well in this mid fight right now. Although it looks like SJ32, is it SJ32 winning? There are so many low marches. It looks so close right now. Let's look at the dots. Oh, it actually looks like Ao77 with the overall, has more overall marches. Let's see what happens here. SJ32 clinging on for dear life. They have to secure this Arc, have someone pull it towards their side. I think this is going to be a prolonged mid fight here. Let's see if they're starting to send some marches to the mid fight. And that's why pulling towards your side is so important, because the Arc is close to your side. Your troops actually get to reinforce faster. As we see this Boudica starting to pull away by Fantasy HP, starting to pull away up north here towards the reinforcements. So it is looking really dire for SJ32. SJ32 with the sentry here to have vision of this Arc, to make sure that they could continue to target it. But yeah, look at that. Here we go. Ao77 reinforcements have arrived. Shadow HP, VCRL here with the Guan Yu as they continue to swarm down these SJ32 marches. It looks like SJ32 did lose the overall Arc here, which is horrible for them, because their whole game plan was to hold their structures, to try to play the structure game defensively and win out in mid. But it looks like Ao77 super strong here, having looks like they have full control of this Arc. Honestly, it looks like they have full control of this Arc. Look how many marches are around here. There are some SJ32 marches still walking in, but this is what I was talking about. Imagine if the Arc was on this side, SJ32 side, compared to Ao77 side. The fight would have been a lot closer. These marches would have been engaged faster, but now these marches have to go around and chase the Snevsky, which is already halfway to the obelisk, which is already halfway to the city to cap. So this is huge win for Ao77 as they get to, look, as I was talking about, free hit these marches. And I really like that. Making the marches red and then moving on to the next march. Super disciplined here from Ao77, because you don't want them to refresh. You want to have them be super low so that they're irrelevant in the open field. Huge stuff from them. As we see SJ32 continuing to stream. This is their whole game plan. This is their whole game right here, which is why they're so desperately trying to hit this Arc. They're so desperately trying to contest this arc. As we see marches streaming in, they're like, yeah, this Desert Altar is right here, but we don't care. We need this arc right now. As we see, I believe this is a slower march. I think it's an infantry march. Oh no, it's just, I think it's a, I don't know what's carrying. Let me see. Oh, it's an XY. XY is carrying. So it is very squishy here. It is pretty slow. Is SJ32 actually going to be able to come back from this? I think they should be starting to rally their obelisk here, because where are you going to capture if you're SJ32? Look at that, the arc carrier relentless here, as we see SJ32 just swarming in. Please give us this Arc of Osiris. They are asking. Just having so many people. This is literally their whole team here. There's so many people that could be swarming down this Desert Altar, but they're like, nah, let's just go straight towards this this arc. Ao77 is like, hey man, we're winning points per minute. Because we have your outposts. We're winning. We have arc control. Like, we're down to just swarm down your marches. We're down to just allocate a lot of resources to making sure this arc is held in our control here. Oh, hey, they're kind of getting dangerously close to their obelisk here. Oh, they finally captured the arc. There you go. Ao77 with the huge win, now up by 4K. My goodness. Ao77, huge win for them. Up by 4K. Points, as well as being up in the points per minute, even though they had the arc, which is really detrimental to SJ32 here. How will SJ32 respond? They start responding, yes, by taking the Desert Altar, making the points per minute a little bit more even for them. They definitely need to start taking some structures, specifically the altars, because of the point gap that they currently have against Ao77. It looks like there will be a third arc that will spawn though, so let's see how both teams respond, because SJ32 is now on the offensive in the structures. They deviated from their initial game plan of just, stabilizing their own structures and winning out mid because they lost mid. They have to be in the offensive here. There is a Zeno Heraclius garrison in here, so it is pretty strong. I would love to see these marches just march swap though. I'm not too sure. The thing is, if you're a garrison lead, then you can't march swap. I don't know if they are the garrison, but if you're not, you definitely a learning moment here. Want to march swap, because even though you're helping out in the open field, it's all for naught if you do not have control of this structure here. So they definitely want to march swap to at least keep Ao77 from gaining points from their Desert Altar, as Ao77 recaptured their Desert Altar here, but they are slowly bleeding out some points. That was a huge capture from SJ32, at least denying around maybe 3 minutes ish, so that's like 450 points from Ao77, as we also see SJ32 actually getting contested here for their own Desert Altar. There are a lot of Ao77 marches in this bottom Desert Altar here, so will they be able to capture it? It looks like SJ32 already swarmed down the rally, so it's going to be very hard to capture this without a rally. Although you'd hate to see the AFK marches here, you just like start swarming these marches. A lot of AFK marches by SJ32 here, while Ao77's swarming down this Desert Altar. Oh wow, there was a Nevsky as garrison for a little bit there, but now it is a Jad. That Nevsky garrison would have been terrible for SJ32. But yeah, there you go. They finally started filling the structure up. It looks like they're starting to swarm down the swarmers, so they will be able to hold their own Desert Altar. It doesn't look like there are any reinforcements coming from Ao77. Actually looks like Ao77 is starting to rotate mid here with 5 minutes to go. They were able to hold on to their own Desert Altar after they recaptured it. So the points per minute should be still an SJ32 side, as they are slowly but surely trying to chip away at this lead. 3.8k difference between the two teams now. But yeah, this mid fight is a must win for SJ32 to come back from this the hole that they have right now, as we actually see some pressure on this Shrine of Life here, although it does look like SJ32. Oh, these marches started walking back. Okay, there you go. Now they're like, okay, there's some marches here. Let's start reinforcing here. So yeah, it looks like they're fighting for the shrines here. Shrines, they don't give as much points, but they do give some buffs. So attack speed, defense, but these outer shrines are actually so important because of the troop health and march speed. March speed being super important because you want to make sure you get from point A to point B as fast as possible in Ark of Osiris here. So Shrine of Life. Oh, what? Did they stop swarming the shrine? Oh, there you go. They did capture the Shrine of Life, so they are moving they are missing 5% march speed, which, you know, might not make that much of a difference, but it will make it a bit harder for them at least to start walking. Let's see the other Shrine of Life here. Oh, look how many marches are here. It looks like both Shrine of Lives will be captured from both teams here, so they will be trading buffs. But although there is Flex coming in with a Justinian, are you gonna fill this structure? Is this structure going to be filled? We got a Flavius backup garrison. It goes in. Garrison swap. Nice. So huge holes from SJ32 here. Denying the buffs to Ao77 for this mid fight. As we continue to look at mid, look at the aggressive positioning here from Ao77 though. They are at direct west of the temple compared to the southeast of SJ32. As we go back to the Shrine of Life, yeah, it looks like the Shrine of Life will hold. Flex was able to bring out some marches and hold that Shrine of Life. This Desert Altar, though, it looks like it will be a similar situation. Honestly, I'd be swarming down the Swarmer here. There is some anti-swarm for this Bakal, as well as the Mina B debuff is actually pretty big here. As we see, Arc will spawn in about 2 minutes, 30 seconds. We see SJ32. Are they posturing north here and like direct east? I'm really interested to see this murder ball. As we see, no structures are actually being contested. You could tell by the blinking. The only structure is this Desert Altar. Everyone else streaming towards mid. All teams are gonna go mid, so it's gonna be a full mid versus mid here. As the points are starting to the point lead is actually not like SJ32 is not gaining too much, so Ao77 still have a pretty comfortable point cushion here. So they don't necessarily need to capture this arc, but they want to deny it from SJ32, so they want to at least delay it as much as possible here. SJ32 want to insta cap this and then maybe play for a fourth arc of the day. So let's see what happens in this mid fight as we see Nevsky start to go in, maybe for some chip damage. As oh wow, the Nevsky definitely lost that trade with the AoE, and one of his allies got AoE'd as well. It's not too consequential, but some free damage for Ao77. It looks like, oh, I don't know if I like this amount of commitment from SJ32. I feel like everyone should be mid. I think yeah, Ao77 has everyone mid as well. So except for this one individual here trying to get a sneaky capture on the Desert Altar. But for the Shrine, it's not too consequential. Like, yeah, there you go. Now they're starting to rotate mid. And as we see, I think this is the fight call from Ao77 to the death popped by Ao77 here. Let's see what happens from SJ32 side. SJ32 using Total Vision and Dust Up. So to the death versus Total Vision and Dust Up. Let's see which composition wins here. Lots of scale damage flying all over the place. Sad faces. I saw the initial sad faces from Ao77. Although there are now starting to be some SJ32 sad faces here. I'm just seeing this Liang in the middle, just doing a ton of AoE scale damage, as the arc is going to spawn in 5 seconds here. So let's see if there's any arc caps. We got Belarus in the north here with XY, and it looks like SJ32 actually got the first tap here, which is huge because as we saw, Ao77 was able to get first tap and they were able to drag it all the way down to their side. But actually, this is not too advantageous. It's in the middle of both teams. I guess it's a bit more towards SJ32, but you would have loved for the arc to be capped from the south side here in the middle of SJ32's murder ball. But yeah, let's go see in terms of dots who is winning this mid fight. It looks like, wow, a lot of blue. I'm seeing a lot of blue here. So Ao77 actually winning out a second mid fight. Is this what I'm seeing here? It does look like Ao77 was able to win out this mid fight here. Although a lot of their marches are low, Ao77 able to get the first tap here, dragging it towards their side. As I said, this I believe it's a Guan Yu carrier, but it just got popped. Let's see if Ao77 is able to drag it again, or if SJ32 is able to start dragging it towards their side. I feel like Ao77 is super they're so good at just instantly having someone tap the arc as soon as it goes down so that they can get that first tap and start, you know, dragging it towards their side. And as I said, there you go. SJ32, it's looking really dire right now because of the positioning of this arc. The arc is firmly in Ao77's side now. It looks like SJ32 was routed. So for a second time in a row, it looks like Ao77 was able to win out this mid fight and start walking this Arc of Osiris back towards their obelisk here. So big win for them as we see this Desert Altar start to get captured by this Tariq Sargon. Tariq Sargon actually being probably the best skill damage rally for infantry. But it is swarmable, but it looks like they didn't have enough people to swarm here. But they are now swarming this Desert Altar as we see this mid fight continuing. Will SJ32 do a similar strat where they just run for this arc? I feel like they have to, right? If Ao77 captures this arc, it's game over for SJ32. It's gonna be so hard for them to come back. I don't know if it'll be possible for them to come back unless they capture like all four altars right now, right? So, but yeah, it looks like this XY is safe. We do get a HQ in the back here, and the XY is not actually moving. The arc stopped for a little bit, and the arc was dropped, but there's just too many Ao77 marches. I think they still have people rotating. Look how they know. They know this arc. If they capture this arc, this game's over. So they are sending everybody towards this arc. I'm curious to see if SJ32 is doing the same thing because they're in a similar situation where they are back in the game if they capture this arc. Actually, they're probably leading if they capture this arc. So what Ao77 has to do here, they don't even need to capture. Well, actually, they are losing the points per minute. They did lose a Desert Altar, so they might need to capture here. But they have to make sure that SJ32 has no way to capture this Arc of Osiris. This Arc of Osiris for both teams is actually the game here. So yeah, imagine the pressure of this Khan having the game in the palm of your horse, just trying to walk as fast as possible here towards the safe spot, which is these cities. If this Khan caps, it's over. So let's see how SJ32 responds here. It looks like, yeah, they're not even worried about this Desert Altar. They're like, okay, you could capture this Desert Altar, you could swarm it down. We are going to be sending all of our marches towards this arc. And it's actually being contested quite a bit here. Although, as I was talking about earlier, the biggest thing about why you want to pull the arc is because if your opponent is walking, you can hit them for free with skill damage, and they're not generating rage at all. So these marches are not generating rage at all, even though they're getting hit. But Ao77 marches are generating rage. They are able to get some skill damage out. So if you're walking, you're actually in the disadvantage here. So AO77, it looks like they have a Sargon arc carrier. And that's one thing I respect, because some people is like, oh, I can't carry the arc because, you know, I have infantry. No, they're like, we just need someone to pull it up. We just need someone to pull it towards our obelisk. So it's huge wins for them. And I think it's paying dividends. Even though some people might have a specific arc carrier march, it doesn't matter. You need to make sure your team gets this arc. And AO77 has done this twice now. Pulling it again with a Guan Yu here. SJ32, it's getting harder and harder for them to contest this arc as the arc gets closer and closer to the enemy cities here of AO77. They're just able to walk out of their cities and contest the arc, which is the biggest down. It's going to be so hard for SJ32 to contest this arc now. It's literally at the front door of AO77, meaning that AO77 did win this mid fight, and overall they are looking poised to win this game and make it to the second round of the playoffs here, the quarterfinals. So that is huge for them. But let's continue to see how this game progresses here as we see this again, another Khan here. I'm curious to see why they use Khan as an arc carrier. Khan is a fast march unless you're getting hit. If you're getting hit, there is a debuff I believe Khan has. So it's not usually seen as an arc carrier. It is also very squishy, but it is getting the job done here as they are in the middle of their cities now. They're actually in cap range, so it looks like they're trying to hold here for the last arc. And why wouldn't you? You have the point lead, you have the points per minute lead, and you have the Arc of Osiris. There's no need to force a third arc for them. So it looks like SJ32 finally gave up on capturing this Arc of Osiris. It looks like they're going back towards a structure game. And as I say that, AO77, as they were defending, and that's the thing, SJ32 was streamlining, which means that like you have a bunch of marches, there are a bunch of people dedicated to contesting this arc, but because you're streamlining, you go in one by one and you can just get swarmed down. It looks like they lost pressure on their Desert Altar and their Shrine of Life, so they lost both of their structures on the south side here and this bottom side here, allowing for AO77 to win in the points per minute. So yeah, AO77, it is in a solid spot here. As we see the Desert Altar also being swarmed down, they're trying to get some points, some semblance of a lead back, some win condition, because that's the biggest thing. You got to see and understand, like, how can I win? How can I, what's our next plan here? SJ32's plan was to win the arc. They lost twice. Now they're like, okay, we gotta stabilize their structures. We gotta start taking these structures, specifically these altars, especially this altar that they of their own that they don't even have themselves here, as they are starting to swarm down this Flavius, I believe, with Flavius with Heraclius here, as yeah, SJ32 swarming down the structure. But yeah, now that AO77 is starting to get some points, 740 points per minute, almost actually more than double SJ32's. So it's looking like SJ32 here is in the back foot, because AO77 is just able to capture the structures, able to win the mid fights. So if you can't win structures, you can't win mid, then you can't win the game. So that is huge for them. AO77 freely just holding this arc. It looks like they have like one HQ just dedicated to running down and at least keeping this this Khan honest, as we see a city teleport in. And there you go. They're trying to play towards this win condition. Let's try to get their altars. Let's try to hold our own altars and get their altars, as we see a Tariq with Pakal attacking the Sky Altar here versus a Zenobia, and I think it's Heraclius. Yeah, Heraclius tends to be the secondary or primary garrison from all garrisons, because of the ability to be mixed garrison is so strong. As we see SJ32's rally, it's putting in some work actually. I'm not too sure why there's an AFK XY here. You definitely hate to see marches AFK as someone lost control of the arc. Hello? What's going on here? Is there a rally on this? Oh, they're not even rallying the obelisk. there should be some form of contest on this obelisk here. So at least there's a chance to capture this arc, but it looks like this SJ32 member is walking towards an outpost instead. But I don't think they'll be successful in that with Saladin YSG, the KVK2 garrison. I don't know if it's still a KVK2 garrison, but back in my time, I used to see Saladin YSGs all the time as a garrison. And it looks like they were able to get control of the arc again. And what this allows them to do is they're able to hold the arc for the rest of the match, because when you drop an arc and your opponent captures it, it actually resets the timer. So since SJ32 had control of the arc, now the timer is back to 15 minutes to go. So they could literally hold it for the rest of the game and guarantee that there's no arc, as Ao77 is able to recapture their own Sky Altar. Let's see what's happening with this Desert Altar here. It looks like the Desert Altar is going to go down. There's so many marches from Ao77. No marches coming from SJ32. It looks like SJ32 actually committed most of their marches towards the Sky Altar here, or the Shrine of Life. Pretty interesting that they're kind of deprioritizing their Desert Altar, because that's, you know, one of the biggest win conditions for them. As we continue to see, yeah, look at this. The Saladin YSG march just slowly inching around their own city. I think it will go down again. Shrine of War also being contested. Ao77 having control of both altars is actually huge for them. Again, I don't know where the bottom team is. They have so many cities here, but not too many marches. It looks like Ao77. That's one of the biggest things, is that having your marches out and doing something at all times is so huge. It's so crucial. It actually looks like Ao77 was pressured enough to capture the arc here, which is why they now have a 7k point differential, a 7k point lead. So it's looking like SJ32 was not able to win this match, but there is going to be one more arc fight. Actually, no, there won't be. Yeah, this is pretty much safe. You can't capture an arc in about 30 seconds, so it is all on structures now. Ao77 having 3 altars to SJ32's 1, creating this point differential, making SJ32 actually lose 40 points to them per minute here. So they're in the lead, and they're gaining on that lead. So what? Okay, that's Ethelfled swarming with Trajan. Not the best swarming march here. As we see SJ32 starting to swarm, they're starting to get desperate here. Well, they want to make sure they could recapture their Desert Altar. Sky Altar is safe. Let's look at the 2 altars here. I think this Sky Altar is safe as well. This Sky Altar is getting contested, but I think overall it's going to be safe, as well as the rally is starting to go down here. I don't really like the Sargon here unless you have open field. The Bakal just allows your Sargon to be, allows your Tariq to be so much more tankier and survive so much longer, especially against the Swarm. As you see the outpost being contested. The Desert Altar here is starting to amass a lot of numbers here from SJ32, so they might actually be able to recapture this Desert Altar. I don't see a rally though on this Desert Altar, which is the biggest thing. Rallies are so crucial as a tank to there you go. We now see a rally. It's actually a Jad rally. Interesting. The rally was canceled because they captured the structure. Let's see if the Jad actually turns around and goes to garrison, because I believe that Jad is the garrison of this Desert Altar. As we see hard push used by SJ32, trying to make trying to lower the amount of time it takes for structures to flip to gain as much points as possible here. But yeah, it's looking pretty tough here with 6 minutes to go. SJ32, Ao77 with a pretty sizable lead here, approaching that 8k mark, as we see the Jan go into the structure. So this Desert Altar should be safe, but SJ32's playoff hopes seem to be going down the drain here, as they put up a good fight, but Ao77 with such a good mid fight actually, and also being the aggressor. And that's one thing, is attacking the structure in itself is kind of a form of defense, because it forces marches that would have been attacking your own structures to kind of pull back and defend their structure. Is kind of like it's kind of a pressure advantage, right? It's a pressure sponge where if you're attacking an opponent altar, for example, they have it soaks up pressure from the opponent open field marches, maybe a counter rally, who knows, that would have been put in one of your own structures. And I think that's what Ao77 was able to do, is they had practically had they could pick where the fights were, because SJ32 in the beginning of the game was playing super defensively, meaning that they had the overall tempo advantage. They could overall set the pace of the game, which put SJ32 in the back foot for these mid fights, I believe. So huge kudos to Ao77 in that front. Even though they're technically the second team, I believe, right, of 2377, with GV77 being the main team. I am super impressed with Ao77 and their run towards top 8 here. As we see Total Vision used as this Shrine of Life, Heaven's Grace used by Ao77. Pretty interesting that they actually use Heaven's Grace compared to one of the new skills, for example. But yeah, it's a huge win out for Ao77 here. They were actually seen as they were seen as the underdogs for this match, actually. Yeah, they're seen as underdogs for this match. Ao77 was, but they were able to prove the doubters wrong, show why they won out their group, show why they are the 1 seed here. As Ao77 looks like, this is what I'm talking about. Their structure game super strong. There's so many marches swarming down the structure, but they just have people filling, and they have people swarming down the swarmers. So they even have a backup garrison in the back here. So huge stuff from Ao77, and I'm curious to see how far they get into these playoffs here, as we have 3 minutes to go. The winner of this match, Ao77 versus SJ32, will get to fight the winner of CN21 and PK26. So yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see if Ao77 will be able to win out and maybe go to semifinals. Who knows? They look super strong. Even though I didn't know them as a contender, this was a really impressive showing. SJ32, one of the biggest takeaways I could say, is there were too many AFK marches. As you saw in the mid fight, Ao77, I believe, started both of the mid fights that they won, which is huge, because what that allows you to do is you get to check if your players are awake. You get to attack all of the marches yourself, and kind of like dictate that pace. So you definitely see that from Ao77 in this match, where in these mid fights, it looked like they were a lot more decisive compared to SJ32, which had some marches AFK in the back there, which is, tragic for their mid fight capabilities here. As we see SJ32 at least take back the Desert Altar, at least hold their half of the map here. But as the point lead continues to balloon up to 10k, SJ32 all they can do is watch. But they should be proud, being top 16, bringing Wib actually to less than 1k points, or bringing Wib to a 1k point difference at the end of the game is huge. So they had a really good run here, and hopefully we'll see them by next season. But Ao77 here, showing why they were the 1 seed. I'm going to be curious to see how these playoffs go now, as Anubis is getting pretty interesting. Next week will be the quarterfinals, so it'll be top 8. It'll be Ao77 versus the winner of CN21 versus PK26, and it will be a very interesting fight to whoever they verse there, because from what I've been seeing, SJ32 was favored, and they were actually seen as one of the stronger 2 seeds because of the close game that they had against WIB. So very interesting stuff here. Ao77 recapturing this Desert Altar and capturing this win in Ark of Osiris as there are 10 seconds left, 10k point lead for them. As I said, no one could capture the Ark because there's only 30 seconds left, so there's no one there. So there you go. Win out by Ao77. GG's from both teams. Good effort by SJ32 as we see Ao77 Turbo MX winning the most valuable player at 167,114 points. As we see total kills, SJ32 with 65.6 million total kills. We have Ao77 with 72.2, and look at the amount they healed. Super dedicated to having full T5 out there. 18.1 million healed. So kudos to them. They won the arcs and they won occupation, and they even won provisioning, allowing them to win the game. So GG's to both teams. That is it for today's broadcast. Thank you for joining us. Next week rather. Next Sunday we will be having the round of 8 quarterfinals for each of the Osiris League. So be sure to tune into that. It should be super exciting. So be sure to subscribe to the Rise of Kingdoms channel. And if you like Rise of Kingdoms content, be sure to subscribe to my channel, Plato Gaming. I am a content creator and caster for Rise of Kingdoms, and I'm signing out. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.